Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the official Mind of a Nerd channel. My name is Tyler, aka Mind of a Nerd, and I am so happy to be back doing live streams. Well, I don't want to say I'm back doing live streams, but I'm back doing another live stream for you guys. It's been way too long since I've been on here. I think the last time I was on here was the middle of the year, maybe January or something like that. I don't know. I had gotten super busy, and my YouTube channel kind of becomes a last priority when it comes to this stuff. Because I'm doing the nerd talk stuff, and um, I feel like this channel, I don't really need to use it that much, but I wish I did. So that's just how it is. But Um, I figured I've wanted to do something like this for a long time, and so I figured why not? Let's do it 31 on 31. My first one, and of course I'm gonna do it live, but I figured. I watched so many horror movies this year for the first time. Why not take all of them and bunch them together and rank them from worst to best? So, this is my first 31-31. If you guys don't know what 31 on 31 is, you take 31 movies and you like apply a theme to it and you rank them from worst to best. That's pretty much it. So the theme of this one will be horror first time watches. So these are 31 horror movies that I watched for the first time this year. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else to get into it. Um my guy Fritzky, what is going on? So I'm not gonna waste too much of your time. How I'm gonna do this is I have them banners, and I have the number placement, the title, and then when you see like a number out of five, that's like my letterbox rating, basically. So you guys can get an idea of how I feel about the movies, not just where they're placed. Because sometimes you'll place a movie there and then there, and you're like, well, the scores don't add up and all that shit. You get it. So and also last thing, I will be showing like the physical media if I have them physically. I don't have a lot of them physically. I watch a lot of these streaming, but if I had the physical media version of whatever movie I'm talking about, I'll show it just for whatever sake. Um, what else? What else? Oh, you guys can ask me questions. You guys can say like, "Oh, I can't believe that movie's higher than that movie." Oh my god, I can't believe you gave that movie a 2.5. There's gonna be several of those. There's gonna be several of those. Um, you guys will see, but there will be several hot takes in this video. Just listen. It's my list. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. This is not the right opinion. This is my opinion. You guys got to remember that. Without further ado, let's get into my very first 31 on 31, starting with number 31. This is a cult classic that I've been wanting to watch for a while, and I absolutely did not like this movie, unfortunately, and it is Urban Legend. So this is a movie that it came out at the time of like Scream, The Faculty, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I love the concept of this movie. The concept of this movie I really like, to where it's like this killer is basing the kills and stuff off of urban legend. That's a great idea. Is it executed well? No, it's not. Um, my main issue with it was that it's just kind of boring. The characters aren't very interesting. You got Jared Leto in there. He's like the most notable person in there. He's fine in it, but again, I must clarify. I don't really hate any of the movies on here. To be honest, most of these movies have like some form of quality to them. Um, but this one just, I don't know. This is the one on this list. Like these about like these bottom four, they can kind of intertwine, to be honest, of like which one I would watch the least of these 31. But this is the one that just kind of didn't really do anything for me. So moving on to number 30, this is another one that I had been wanting to watch for a while, and unfortunately, it was very disappointing. That is 13 Ghosts, the remake, the Matthew Lillard remake. This is another one, man. The concept is so cool, and it is really badly executed, in my opinion. I know this movie has its fans, and I mean, more power to you. I did not care for this at all. I thought it was kind of boring. Matthew Lillard is way too over the top, and I love him. I do. I just watched fucking Scooby Doo last night for Nerd Talk, and I love him in that. But this, I was like, ugh, I don't really like him. The whole concept to where you have to put the glasses on to see the ghost, I thought was fucking stupid. It reminded me of like Spy Kids 3. That's what it reminded me of. I don't know. This movie just it didn't really do anything for me. And I'm curious as to what the original is because I doubt the original is anything like this movie. Um yeah, it was disappointing. The only really redeeming factors that they had was the when they showed the ghosts, they were cool, and the looks to the ghosts were cool, but you barely saw them. And the editing in this what the hell was the editing in this movie? The editing in this movie was horrendous. So yeah, it didn't really do anything for me. Coming in at number 29, we have the 2004 remake of The Grudge with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Um, this movie was very boring. This movie was very boring. And I watched this. It's not on here, but I watched it because I watched the Japanese Ringu, for the OVR that we did. Which, if you have not already watched it, go check that out. Nerd Talk. But I watched this. I didn't watch the original Grudge, but I watched this one because it was streaming. So I was like, fuck it, why not? This movie is very boring. It's basically a lot like The Ring, but you take out the interesting things about The Ring. That Entity was okay. I think like the last 15 minutes was kind of creepy, but I don't know. It was very boring. I remember watching this movie just being bored to fucking tears with this movie. Um, and I know they made a sequel. I've never seen that. Um, I know they did the 2020. Uh, I think that was like a reboot or something like that. I don't know. Um, I don't know. It was very meh. It didn't really do anything for me, including Sarah Michelle Gellar, who I normally always like. She was very one dimensional in this movie. Moving on to number 28. Fritzky, hi. This one's for you, buddy. We got House of a Thousand Corpses. And I do have this one physically. This is the trilogy. The what the fuck is this called? The Firefly trilogy. I think that's what this is called. I have not seen the other two yet. I don't know if I ever will. But we got House of a Thousand Corpses. This is my first Rob Zombie movie that's not like the Halloween movies. I guess I watched most of the Monsters, which was not good at all. But yeah, this is like my first like actual like Rob Zombie, like the ones he's known for, both good and bad. This is what this was. So I didn't hate House of a Thousand Corpses. I enjoyed the setup. The setup was cool. I was like, okay, this is okay, and the first like 45 minutes of it, I forgot how long this movie was, but 80 minutes. So like half of it, the first half of it, I was like, this is okay. This isn't horrible. The dialogue is a little iffy, but it's Rob Zombie. Fuck it. Then the movie actually gets going, and it was just weird. It was really weird. Um, it's edited very strange, but I was rocking with it. I was like, you know what? Okay, it has its own unique style to it. Is it great? No. Like the style, no, but fine. It's not bland. I don't know. The movie just it kept getting weirder and weirder and weirder, and as it just kept going, I just became more numb to it. It's not a horrible movie, but would I ever go back to it? No. If anything, this movie made me question why um what the fuck is it? Rob Zombie, why he went and directed a remake of Halloween and didn't do Texas Chainsaw. Because that's what House of a Thousand Corpses reminds me. It reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm watching it, I'm like, why didn't he just go and direct? He would be perfect for a Texas Chainsaw remake. Like, I feel like he's tailor made for that. That makes more sense than him doing Halloween. That's just me. But yeah, number 28, House of a Thousand Corpses, not great. Number 27, woohoo! The hot take, the hot take. Oh, the hot takes. Bram Stoker's Dracula. So this is the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula. So I just finished reading this book in college. I just finished reading this book for my class, and I was like, well, I've had this 4K for like a while, and I haven't watched it, so let me watch it, being that I've read the book. I'm not normally, I haven't done this too many times, but I'm not normally someone that compares the movie to the book and vice versa. I don't love the book either. I need to clarify that. I think it's a decent, it's a good book, but it has very major problems. This movie is somehow fucking worse than that book. I don't understand what this man Francis Ford Coppola was smoking, but I need some of that. I thought it's shot amazingly. The practical effects and all that are top notch. The score is phenomenal. I don't know who composed this. Who composed this? It doesn't say. I don't know why. But it's a fantastic score. And Gary Oldman is amazing as Dracula, but my god, if this is not like the worst cast I've ever seen for a serious big budget movie in my life, I don't know what it is. I thought who in their right mind casted Keanu Reeves as Jonathan Harker? Whoever did that needs to be fired. He was horrendous. Winona Ryder, I didn't really like as Mina either. Anthony Hopkins was okay as Van Helsing, but other than that, it was a really boring movie. It took all the character development that's in the novel, stripped it entirely. It feels so rushed. And also, the movie's only like, how long is this movie? I remember it being like really short. Which, I mean, I'm thankful that it's short because it's not good. Oh no, it's like 2 hours. Why would you take like a 600 page book and cram it into 2 hours? This movie, it should have been either a miniseries or this movie should have been like 3.5 hours, legitimately, because that is how much development is in Dracula. I have my issues with that book, but the one thing I cannot say is that there's no development for anything. There is a lot of development for a lot of things. Renfield is subjected to someone who eats flies in a cage. That's not him in the book at all. They made it a love story too. I could go on for hours. I could go on for hours. Oh, oh, I could go on for hours. I did not care for this movie, but it's as a movie, it's still not very good to me. But as an adaptation of that book, it's really bad. Um, yeah. Number 26. This is another hot take. I was very excited to watch this movie because this is a slasher movie that a lot of people have hyped up, and this was very disappointing. You're Next. Directed by Adam Wingard, who did he did Godzilla vs Kong and Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Um, yeah, did he do that? Let me make sure he did that before I go and say that. I think he did. Yes, he did. Okay. Um, yeah, this was very boring. I thought this was so generic and just boring. And I also predicted the twist halfway through. I won't spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but I was like, oh, yeah, that's what's happening. And by the end, I was like, well, duh, you weren't hiding that very well. Um, the acting is okay. The final girl is pretty good. And when it finally fucking gets going at the end, it's entertaining enough. The kills are okay, but um, eh, I when things start happening in the beginning, it's fine. Like it's okay. There's a couple of cool kills in there, but I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me. You know, I this movie was so hyped up for me, and it was very mid. The Final Girl was cool, but I know a lot of people like hailed this movie as like a great slasher movie. I was like, I was very bored by this movie, which it sucks, but it is what it is. Number 25 is Slither. This is directed by James Gunn, one of his earlier movies with this and Super before he became Guardians of the Galaxy James Gunn. Um, this movie was okay. It's very okay. The CGI is really bad. It's really bad. But I like the story. The concept is cool. Michael Rooker, I don't know why I forgot his name for like 5 seconds. Michael Rooker is pretty good in it. Elizabeth Banks is okay in it. Um, there's another actor in this movie. I forgot who it is. He plays a cop, and I was like, oh, that's this dude. I'll tell you right now. Oh, Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion is pretty good. Um, I don't know. It was okay. I expected more from it. I expected it to be more wacky and crazy, but it was okay. It didn't really offend me. It kind of disappointed me, but I kind of expected it to be not great, but it is what it is. Number 24 is Flatliners. The original Flatliners. Right? Kevin Bacon, Keith Sutherland, Julia Roberts. Um, I had bought this on a whim because I love this cover for Flatliners. This is one of those unfortunate cases that I bought the cover and the movie kind of stinks. But the concept of this movie is pretty good, I must say. I like the idea of these doctors wanting to kill themselves and see what's on the other side. That's a cool concept, you know. Um my issue with this movie is that the movie is very repetitive. I feel like they do is just the same thing. They try to ramp it up by having it be like, oh my god, are they gonna live? Are they gonna die? I don't know. Oh my god. But by like the third time they do that and somebody doesn't die, it was like, okay, I don't care anymore. I thought what was gonna happen was they'll keep doing it and then eventually somebody will die and it'll start getting crazy. It doesn't really get crazy. They start having these visions or whatever. The visions weren't really interesting. Keith Sutherland just keeps getting beat up by this little boy. It's vision. Um, I don't know. It was very disappointing. I watched it. I was like, I mean, it's fine. Kevin Bacon is good in it. Keith Sutherland, like the acting is okay. That's not the problem with it. But I don't know. It was okay. I didn't really have a gut reaction to it. Number 23 is gonna be Pumpkinhead. I have the Screen Factory Steelbook, 4K Steelbook. Um, I blind bought this. Truth be told, I saw the Steelbook. I was like, I have no idea what this movie is, but I love that Steelbook. I need that now. I need to stop doing that. But the concept of this movie is very cool. I forgot who is the main actor in this movie, but he he runs like this farm, and his son gets murdered or something. And so Lance Hendrickson, and so he like summons this curse for this creature, and it has to come and kill these kids. Um, the movie is very slow, but I was like, okay, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. The practical effects are very good. That is the one positive. But when it actually like begins to get going, it it's fine. I was expecting like more carnage. There really isn't. But if they remade this movie with practical effects, keep the fucking effects practical, I think this could be like a great horror remake. This is definitely bound for a remake. Um, but as it stands, it's very okay. I didn't hate myself watching it, but I didn't really. It was disappointing, Consider like I didn't. I went into it blind, but like when I saw what the concept was, I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's neat. Um, we gotta call him it. Hey, my guy Luke Reviews, what's going on? What's going on? Ready for school to be over, man, so we can have you back on Nerd Talk. All right, number 22, Jeepers Creepers. This movie is so fucking boring. Jeepers Creepers. Um, the first one. I have not seen the second one yet, but Jeepers Creepers, man. Yes, I know everything with Victor Salva. Please do not start. I don't care. Um, so funny story with Jeepers Creepers. I saw this movie. I kind of cheated with this one because I have seen it for the first time like in 2017, but I couldn't tell you anything about this movie. So this was basically like our first time watching it. Unfortunately, this movie is very boring to me. I like Justin Long and the actress that plays Jill, Gina Phillips. She's pretty good. Is that her name? I don't want to say Jill, and it's not that. It doesn't say. Let's say Jill. If her name is not Jill, just correct me. I don't care. Um. Anyway, the leads are cool. The creeper is great. The practical effects are cool, and the last like 20-ish minutes, they were cool. Everything else, it was just very boring to me. I don't know. I couldn't really get into it. I liked the ending a lot, but it was just it was okay. You know, I don't really have interest to see the second one. Funnily enough, I've seen the what is the reboot? I don't know. Reborn. That was wow. That was bad. That was really bad. Um, I don't know. It was very okay. Number 21, we got the Blair Witch Project. Hot take? Maybe not. I don't know. The Blair Witch Project. I'm not a huge fan of found footage, but I don't hate the genre like a lot of people do. I know a lot of people that just like, no, I can't do any found footage movies. If it is recorded on a camera and presented that way, I will turn the movie off. Which is funny because movies are filmed on cameras. So anyway, um, but I like Cloverfield a lot. The first two Paranormal Activity movies I really like. I haven't seen the third one in a while. Um, what else? Late Night with the Devil was kind of found footage. I like that a good bit. There's also like a good bit that I haven't watched either. So do with that what you will. But the Blair Witch Project, this is a movie that it's iconic for like the marketing and oh my god, was it real? Oh my god, come on, bro. Um, watch the movie. It's okay. I feel like if you were there for it, you would really like it. I feel like if you weren't, you won't get much out of this. You know, it's a cool idea. You know, like and it's just mainly like putting it in the perspective of those times. It's a cool idea, but it's very okay to me. You know, the acting is fine. My issue with the movie is that like not a lot happens. The reason why I like the first Paranormal Activity a lot is because there's things happening pretty much throughout the whole movie. That's why I like the first Paranormal Activity a lot. You get this movie and it's like, oh, they woke up in the middle of the night and she built a pile of rocks on the floor. Ooh, it's so scary. It's like, come on, bro. Like, be for real here. Um, it, I don't know, man. It didn't really do a whole lot much for me. You know, it's unfortunate. I wish I could say that it did, and I didn't really have whole lot of interest to watch the sequel, the other one that, funnily enough, Adam Wingard also directed. Um, but I don't know. I know a lot of people really like it. Number 20, Terrifier, the first Terrifier. Yes, spoiler alert, you see it right here. Terrifier 2 will be much higher on this list. Terrifier, man. So I watched Terrifier 1 and 2 in preparation for the third one that came out a couple weeks ago, which I very much enjoyed. That was a good time. This movie's okay. The first one, it's okay. I know a lot of people kind of hate it. They're like, oh yeah, Art the Clown is cool, but it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's kind of it kind of just goes through the motions for a while. It's kind of just him walking around killing people. There's no like real story driving it, and that's kind of my issue with it. The practical effects are amazing. Art the Clown is the goat. But it doesn't really do a whole lot for me, you know. This is kind of like, here's what we can kind of do with Terrifier, and then when we get more money with Terrifier 2, that's when we're gonna fucking crank it up, you know. But I don't hate this movie. The scene where he splits the girl in half, fucking crazy. Before Terrifier 3, that was the craziest thing in my opinion that Art the Clown ever did. Um, da, 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 da. Number 19 is Cube. I think this is a foreign movie. I forgot what country it origins from, but I know it's a foreign movie. So Cube is basically, I don't know if this came out before Saw or after Saw, but it's in the realm of Saw, to where you get these people, they wake up in this maze. It's a maze. It's weird to call it a maze, but it's a maze. Um and they got to get out. So um this was a movie I've been interested in for a while, and it's this one is disappointing, like really disappointing to me, because for a lot of it I was like, this is really good, like really good. I thought the acting was pretty good. It was intense. The traps were cool. The practical effects were solid enough. I was like, yo, this is cool. And then there's a twist that happens like towards the end of the second act, and I was like, I don't like that. And they kept going with it. I was like, I don't, stop doing that. And by the end of it, I was like, no, I hated that you did that. And then you can definitely see they ran out of money by the end, because woof, the effects by the end of it are not good. There's like this part where this dude gets crushed between like two walls, and the wall moves, so it's like supposed to smear him against the wall. It doesn't look like there's blood on the wall. It looks like there's like a digital red spot on the wall. It does not look good. Um, but it's okay. It's more disappointing than anything, but a lot of it was pretty good. There's a scene where they have to sneak into a room, but they can't make any noise, or else like these traps will come and kill them. I thought that was phenomenal. I thought that was a fantastic sequence. I don't know if I could say they should remake this, because we've had so many movies like this now, where we had all those Saw movies, and then we even had like the escape room movies, which aren't good, but we have them nonetheless. But it's not a bad watch, just know that it's kind of dated. Moving on to number 18, we have the Wolfman 2010 remake, directed by Joe Johnston, who did Captain America: The First Avenger and The Rocketeer, um, starring Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, Emily Blunt. Um, I did not put the original on here because I don't like it, and I was trying not to put so many movies that I didn't like on here. But the remake, I liked. This is kind of a spoiler alert for the OVR that we're doing in January, but I really like this movie. It's not high art, but the thing that this movie does well is that it changes the story and it makes it more intense. Like there's a couple of really fun sequences, and there's some really good practical effects. There's some really bad fucking CGI in this movie, but there's some really good practical effects. Benicio del Toro is okay in it. Anthony Hopkins is pretty good in it. I will say the CGI. I mean, not the CGI. The third act. It kind of feels like a superhero third act, to where like you look at like Morbius, and it's like, oh yeah, they made Matt Smith like basically Morbius. So Morbius could fight another version of Morbius, if that makes sense. That's what the third act of this movie felt like. It felt like we had this villain come out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, it's another wolf. So now the wolf man has to fight another wolf. I don't know. It was weird. But I didn't hate this one. I thought it was okay for what it was. I know a lot of people say like, yeah, it's kind of bad, but I don't know. I thought it was okay. Luke Ponto, what is going on? Um, I will agree. The CGI is really bad. There's a scene where he's like locked up and he has to transform. It's rough. It's really rough. But I thought the movie was okay. I don't know. Give me 1 second. Number 17 is Hostel. So I have been wanting to watch this movie for a while because I heard it's a lot like Saw, and this is like one of those torture porn movies. Um, the first two ish thirds of this movie are kind of god awful. Um, I was sitting there watching this. I'm like, yo, what is this movie? When it finally gets going, it's entertaining enough. The practical effects are awesome, and it's gross. Like it's disgusting. But the road to get there is it's rough. Um, the reason I have it so high is because again the practical effects are pretty good, and the like when it actually gets going, like the last like 30-ish minutes, it's actually pretty good. Like when he takes his revenge out on these guys, it's dope. Like it's cool, and I like that they all bite it in a unique way. So yeah, it's pretty good. It definitely is in that torture porn realm though. Like you see shit in this movie, you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Um, yeah, it's entertaining for what it is. Number 16 is going to be 30 Days of Night. This is a vampire movie starring Josh Hartnett and Melissa George, and it tells the story essentially of this Alaskan town. They don't have sunlight for 30 days, and these vampires come out and start killing people. So I thought this movie was pretty good. The concept is great. I would love to see this remade as like a mini series or just an another version, because I think this could be pretty good. Josh Hartnett is pretty good in it. My issue with this movie is that this movie might have my least favorite movie vampires I've ever seen in any movie. I haven't seen that many vampire projects, but this group of vampires is the most boring, generic, and lame version of vampires I've ever seen in my fucking life. And you got the dude here from X-Men Origins playing like the main bad guy. I was like, oh my god, he's not good. He's not good. He's very boring. And my issue is like, because I don't care about them, it's kind of hard for me to get invested. You know, I will admit there's a twist about like towards the end of the second act into the third act. I didn't see it coming, and it leads to a pretty entertaining third act. But it's okay. You know, like I said, I would not mind a remake to that. I would actually welcome it. All right. Number 15. Let's do the time warp again. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, man. Um, this is one I don't know how I haven't seen it, but I'm glad that I was able to get this Blu-ray Steelbook. This was like one of the last pieces of physical media I had bought from Best Buy before they axed their physical media. Um, I enjoyed the experience of watching this movie. It is a fun movie. The music is great. Tim Curry gives a great performance, and the songs are catchy, and the story is fine. But I don't know. I kind of got tired of it by the end, and I don't mean like, oh, I want to turn it off. It was just like you'll hear me use this expression later when I talk about Terrifier 2. But like I was just kind of ready. It's weird that I just said I was kind of exhausted by the end. Like it just felt like a whole lot of stuff happening, and by the end, I was kind of like, you know, it was fun for what it was. When I watch it again, it's gonna have to be a long time. I didn't hate it, but it kind of feels all over the place, which that might be the point of it. I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Do not hear me say it's a bad movie. I definitely enjoyed it. You know, it's at the halfway mark of this, and it's a 3.5. From the Wolfman on, these are movies that I like enjoyed to like really liked. It's a fun movie. Number 14 is going to be Heathers. So this is a horror movie starring Christian Slater and Winona Ryder, and it tells the story essentially this girl getting fed up with all her friends at school, and she's like, hey, I'm just gonna kill them all because they're fucking annoying. So it's basically Mean Girls with a bunch of murder. I like this movie. It was a fun time. Winona Ryder is pretty good. Christian Slater is excellent. But it kind of loses steam after a while. Like I like a lot of it, but about like at the halfway point, it kind of loses steam, and there's like kind of a twist, and one of the characters becomes the villain, and I didn't really buy into it. I was like, okay. Um, but it's a fun time. It's a fun '90s slasher ish, and it is funny. It's funny. There's some good jokes in there. Um, Number 13 is going to be Fright Night Part 2. Yes, there is a Fright Night Part 2 for those who may or may not have known. But there is a Fright Night Part 2. And it picks up pretty much right where the first one left off, to where Charlie is in like therapy, and he is like trying to convince himself that what happened in the first movie wasn't really real. And this is directed by the guy who did Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I don't like, and The Fog, which I think is okay. Wait, did he do The Fog? No, that was John Carpenter. What the fuck am I talking about? Um he was an actor in that movie. Let me see what else he directed. Oh, he did the It miniseries. That's what he did. But yeah, I thought this movie was okay. I like the concept of Jerry's sister coming after Charlie and Peter Vincent. And that's the one thing I like about this movie too. Charlie and Peter Vincent are still in it, and they're still good. You know, they mostly keep the practical stuff. I don't remember if there was that much CGI in there, but the practical stuff is pretty good. My issue is that it's kind of just, hey, let's do Fright Night but with girls. The main girls, like the villains being girls. Let's just do Fright Night with girls. Um I don't know. It's a fun sequel, and it's better. I love the first Fright Night. I think that's a classic. I just watched it yesterday with my little brother. We had a great time watching it. Um, it's better. It's kind of how I view Psycho 2. It's better than a movie called Fright Night Part 2 is, when you hear that, yeah, there's a sequel to Fright Night. Psycho 2 to me is better than what you would imagine when you hear Psycho 2. But it's a fun time. If you have not watched it, I suggest checking it out. Don't expect high art, but you might have a good time. Coming in at number 12, we have Wrong Turn. This is a movie that I've needed to cross off my list for a while, and I know the franchise has a really bad rep. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the sequels. Probably not, because I've heard some of those are like the epitome of bottom of the barrel. So this first one I heard was okay, so it was like, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. And this one was actually better than I thought it was gonna be. I kind of expected it to be like middle of the road nonsense. I mean, it is kind of middle of the road, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. The practical stuff was cool. There were some tense sequences in there. The characters were pretty good. The like our main leads, anyway. My issue with this movie, and it's kind of the same issue I had with 30 Days a Night. This movie has probably the most boring set of slasher villains I've ever seen in my life. We get no development for them. Their looks are very boring. And so I don't really care when they show up. I care more for the characters because I like the characters, but the slasher villains are not interesting. And so when they show up, I'm like, ugh, they're just a bunch of twerps. you know, um, if the killers were more engaging, this would probably be like a 4, to be honest. Because the rest of it it's okay. You know, don't go into it expecting like high art, but it's okay. Coming in at number 11. Woo! This is gonna be a hot take. We got An American Werewolf in London. Now this movie's at number 11 of 31, so I do like this movie, but this movie was definitely overhyped for me. Um, I will get the obvious out of the way. The practical effects, probably the greatest in a werewolf movie I've ever seen in my life. It's so good. The concept of this movie is okay. My issue is that I feel like it was kind of confusing at points to me, and there were a lot of times where I was like, I have no idea what's going on. Um, the pacing is also kind of rough too. I did think the movie was a little long. Um, I do kind of like the ending, but it was a movie that it didn't do a whole lot for me, which was a shame. And I don't think I'm gonna watch the sequel either because I've heard that the movie's not good. And if this is the one that everyone thought was good, and I didn't really care for it, I can't imagine what the second one is really gonna do for me. But I liked it enough, you know. I haven't seen too many werewolf movies, and this would probably be among the best that I've seen. But I don't know. Maybe hopefully in January that changes when Wolfman comes out. Number 10, we're in the top 10 now, baby. And this one's like a wild card, like the underdog in my opinion. You got Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. So this is kind of in line with Fright Night 2 and Psycho 2. I watched this movie out of morbid curiosity because I was like, I kind of want to see what happens next for whatever reason. I was like, I kind of want to see what happens next. A lot of this movie, I'm going to be brutally honest. A lot of this movie I thought was better than the first one. I did. There's a good chunk of this movie that I was like, yo, is this going to be better than the first one? That is the hot take. That a lot of this movie I thought was better than the first one. The acting is really good in this movie from Craig T. Nelson and the mom, and Carol Ann is pretty good too. And then we get the addition of Kane in this movie. He's so dope. Sorry, I have like a whole itch on my nose. And it's intense, and I like the story too. It's pretty cool. As the movie kind of goes along, it does kind of falter a little bit. And I think in the third act, they tried to do a little bit too much, and they couldn't do the things that they were trying to do very well. They mainly involved special effects, and they don't look great. But a lot of this movie I really enjoyed. I was like, why the fuck does nobody talk about this? This is a solid sequel, you know? I don't want to watch the third one because I've seen a lot of clips from that, and I was like, this doesn't look very good. And knowing that Carol Ann passed away while making that movie, she looks all sick in the. It makes me feel gross. But I don't know. I really liked this movie. I thought it was a fun, solid time, and this is the best 3.5 on this list. Meaning, like, it's a damn good 3.5. I thought it was pretty freaking good. And mind you, I have the first Poltergeist at a 4, but it's good. I really, if you have not seen Poltergeist 2, check it out. Lower your expectations, but check it out. I thought this was a great follow up to the first movie, even if it's not perfect. All right. Number 9, we got Suspiria, 1977, Dario Argento's Giallo classic. So I watched this a couple nights ago, and this is one I definitely wanted to watch for a while. I have not watched too many Giallo films. I need to. I don't know if I need to do that, but I want to do that. And so we have this movie that I know that this is like the main big one that everyone really likes. And I would say that I really enjoyed this movie. It is a very slow burn, but this movie is kind of like a fucking trance to where it has all these amazing elements about it, and it's just it's sucking you in. It's suckering you in, and when you're in, that's when you're locked in, and it's cool. The score is phenomenal. The way it's shot is amazing. The color palette is incredible. Oh, excuse me. The acting I thought was okay. Same with the characters; they're not really interesting, but the story is interesting, and it keeps you guessing. Um, it is a little confusing at points, and the ending I still don't kind of fully understand, but I really liked it. There is a couple of sequences in this movie that I genuinely loved, mainly the one with the main girl's best friend when she's running away from the demon. I thought was fucking incredible. And they do this thing where if you notice it, you don't unnotice it the whole fucking movie, to where you see the demon in the background with their eyes and they're always illuminating and glowing. It's so cool. And there's a couple of jump scares with that. I was like, yo, that's so cool. There's one that like legit freaked me the fuck out. And then there, without spoiling it, the final like 5 minutes of this movie, yo, there's a practical effect that happens at the end of this movie. The image of it is still in my brain. It freaked me the fuck out. I was like, holy crap. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And I am looking forward to rewatching it again, and also the remake, because my main issue with this movie is that there's not a whole lot of explanation, and I wish there was. But yeah, it's a fun time in this weird, messed up way. It is a fun time. I definitely enjoyed it. Coming in at number 8 is Summer of '84. So this is one that I've been wanting to watch for a long time. I had mainly seen this poster, and I was like, that looks interesting. This movie was a very good movie. This is another slow burn, and the movie kind of keeps you guessing as to what is actually happening. I was like, yo, like, is this real? Is it not real? What's gonna happen? And then it finally gets going, and it's like, oh shit, like that's crazy. It's very, very Stranger Things heavy. I don't remember if this came out. I think this came out after Stranger Things, but it is very Stranger Things, and it's heavy. But I very much liked this movie. I thought it was a very fun time, and I'm looking forward to rewatch it. This is definitely like, obviously because it's a summer, like it says summer, but this is definitely like a fun, like it's 80 degrees outside. Let me crank up the AC at 9 o'clock at night and watch this movie. That was a very oddly detailed situation, but nonetheless. Number 7, we got Return of the Living Dead. Brains. Yes, Brains. So, as you can tell, I really like this movie. I have the 4K. I have the poster right here. Absolutely love this poster. So I watched this for the first time in September, and I had a fucking blast watching this movie. And I watched it again in October when I showed AJ, and I still had a blast. This movie is a absolute riot. Um, it is slow. It does take its time, but my god, when this movie gets going, it is so outrageous. The things that I witnessed zombies do in this movie, I've never these legit might be my favorite movie zombies, because one, they're smart, which is, and they talk, which was very unique to watch. And it's so entertaining. It is so entertaining when it actually gets going. My god, the practical effects are so good. They're so good. Um yeah. I was contemplating watching it a third time when I got this 4K for Sharktober sale. But yeah, I love Return of the Living Dead. It's such a fun movie. All right. Number 6. Oh, it just missed the top 5. Terrifier 2. Damien Leone's magnum opus, man. Terrifier 2. So, if you guys did not see it, go check out the watch along that we did for Nerd Talk for this movie before Terrifier 3 came out. But Terrifier 2, man, this is the movie that it kind of got everyone into Terrifier, you know? And I really like this movie. You know, is it too long? Yes. And by the end of it, I was definitely ready for it to be over. And this is kind of the same issue that Terrifier 3 has, but it is so entertaining. It's so entertaining. The practical effects are just phenomenal. The story here is great. Sienna is a amazing final girl. And Art the Clown, man. Art the Clown. What a champion of horror icons. Am I right? Such a fun sequel, and this is exactly how you take a movie that it wasn't that great, and you take what works and build on it. He definitely built on it, and I'm excited for the fourth entry, which I'm assuming we're gonna get in like 2 years, and hopefully that's the last one. I think that needs to be the last one. I think even three was stretching it, to be honest, but it's not his fault that the first movie was mid, and then like I always say that I was like I hate that this trilogy is not solid because the first one kind of sucks. But like two and you like the real trilogy is two, three, and four, not one, two, and three. It's weird. One feels so distant from two and three, and it's gonna feel distant from four. But yeah, Terrifier 2. Very much enjoyed this movie. Number 5. This is a movie I watched a couple nights ago. We got Tremors, Kevin Bacon. Um, this is a movie I watched it on a whim. I was like, I've never seen Tremors, and I wanted to watch a horror movie. And this isn't really horror per se, but it's Tremors is about as much of a horror movie as like Crawl and Jaws are, to be honest. So I was like, fuck it. I watched Tremors. Um, excuse me. The first couple minutes of this movie is very slow, but it's kind of build up, so I was fine with that. When this movie gets going, it's fucking awesome. Um, the practical effects in this movie are so good. They're so great. And I said it in my letterbox review, but if this movie did not have the practical effects that it did, this movie would honestly be really uninteresting to me. Um, and I like how they just kept upping the ante throughout the movie and not like blowing their load. They don't blow their load early. That's what I appreciate. The movie builds and builds and builds on itself. It's so good. Kevin Bacon is very entertaining in this movie. Um, I like the couple, the ones that they're like they like to shoot a lot of stuff with guns and they're like rednecks kind of. Their scene in the store where they had to take out that tremor is fucking awesome. That was awesome. I was like, holy shit, that was really good. Yeah, other than the pacing in the beginning, I really like this movie. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the sequels. I might watch two because I heard two is okay. But yeah, this was a very, very, very fun movie. Um, yeah, Tremors number 5. Coming in at number 4, we got the Monster Squad. This movie. Why the fuck do people not like this movie? I seriously need a genuine answer to that question. Why the hell do not people not like this movie? I do not understand. This movie is basically the Sandlot with the Universal monsters in it. Why on earth do people not like this movie? I don't get it. It is so fucking entertaining from start to finish. The practical effects are solid. I get it. The Universal monsters are kind of goofy in this movie, but you know what? I don't really like the Universal monster movies that much. So seeing this kind of take on them, I didn't mind that. The kids, the cast of kids, I thought were a great bunch of kids. And it's so much fun. Like I said, it's literally the Sandlot with the Universal monsters. It is such a fun time, and I don't understand why people don't like it. If you like things like the Sandlot and Christmas Story, where it's like kids hanging out and stuff, please watch this movie. It's so much fun. I had a blast watching this movie when I did. I was beyond confused. Number 3. This was a surprise. This is, if any movie surprised me on this list, it was this one among like Poltergeist 2. But this one definitely surprised me. The Collector. This is another movie like Hostel that I watched it out of the interest of like, yeah, it's like a Saw type movie. This movie was fucking raw. I loved this movie. I don't remember what my main issue was. I think it was that it's kind of slow. I think that was my issue. I don't really remember. I know I had like one little issue with it. Other than that, this movie is fucking raw. I loved this movie. It was intense. The practical effects are solid. I love the collector, like the killer. He's great. Um, you have, oh my god, what's the main guy from? I know his face. I'll tell you right now. Bobby Soto. He was I know him from The Dark Knight Rises. He plays like a dude in the dark. He's in Tenet too. He's really good, and his story is pretty good too. Um, yeah, it was intense, and it was such a fun time. And I watched the sequel too, which I don't know why I did not put that on this list, but the sequel was pretty good too. I don't really love that they took it from a horror route to an action route, but I enjoyed the sequel, and I don't know if we're ever getting. I forgot what it was called. Uh, but if we get, I think it's called the collection, because you got the first one's called the collector, the second one's collected. I think the third one is collection. I don't fucking know. If we get that and it's just as good as these, I'm more than fine with that. AJ Reacts 2 hopping in for the tail end, hopping in for the top three. Um, Number two. These are the two 5 out of 5s on this list. And you can kind of do the math by looking at the posters on here and thinking about which ones I haven't talked about yet. But number two is gonna be The Silence of the Lambs. I've had this criterion for years. I think 2 years now, and I haven't watched it. And last year I was supposed to review it. I ended up not watching it, and I was pissed. I was like, oh, I wanted to finally sit down and watch The Silence of the Lambs. This year I said, motherfucker, you are sitting down and watching The Silence of the Lambs, and you're gonna watch it even if you don't like it. Fortunately for me, I fucking love this movie. This movie is awesome. It's so good. This is definitely a movie that's kind of like the blueprint for Seven. I don't remember when Seven came out. If it, I don't remember if it came out like before or after, but it's a lot like Seven, Zodiac, those kind of movies. Jodie Foster is fucking fantastic in this movie. Anthony Hopkins is so good in this movie, and the story is very intense. It is very slow. It is slow, but it builds to one of the best third acts of a thriller I've ever seen. It's so good. The twist, without spoilers, the twist at the end involving locations of people. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. When they revealed where Jodie Foster was, I almost did a flip out of my fucking chair. I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" And you're just on edge for the last 20 minutes because you don't know what's gonna happen. It's so entertaining, and I'm glad I finally watched it. Will I watch the other movies in this franchise? I don't know. I kind of want to watch the one that comes right after this with Julianne Moore as Jodie Foster's character because I think that sounds interesting. And Anthony Hopkins is in most of these. So even if they suck, at least I get another couple of minutes with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. Jesus Christ. Why did his name just escape me? And number one, the best horror first time watch that I had this year thus far. We got Robert Eggers' The Witch, A24. If you guys know me, you know I'm very, very picky when it comes to A24 movies. It has to be either right up my alley or I'm not going to like it. So you got something like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I love that movie. You got Talk to Me. I really like that movie. I'm trying to think of what. Oh, the Pearl X Maxine trilogy. I like. I don't really care for X, but Pearl and Maxine I love. Um, what else? Everything Everywhere is okay to me. Um, and so, oh, the was the Lighthouse. I'm not the Lighthouse. I'm trying to remember if the Northman was A24. No, I think that was Focus Universal. Anyway, which side note, Nosferatu looks fucking incredible. By the way, I can't wait for that. But I had wanted to watch this movie. I need to watch The Lighthouse, but this is one that I needed to watch. I absolutely adored the fuck out of this movie. It is so dark in terms of like thematically, it's so fucking dark. And I oddly loved that about it. It's shot phenomenally. The acting in this movie is incredible. Anya Taylor Joy gives a phenomenal performance. Um, and I love the way it ends. And I can imagine people when this movie was coming out. Oh, there's no witch. What are you talking about? There's no witch. This movie stinks. You boneheads. It's not a literal witch. Um, I absolutely love this movie. I remember watching it. It didn't escape my head for like a while. This movie was so fucking good, and I'm very much excited to watch The Lighthouse. And like I said already, Nosferatu looks great, and I can't wait to see that. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. My very first 31 on 31 is in the bag. Thank you to everyone who is popping in and out of the chat. Also, if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know down below. Do you guys want me to do more 31 on 31? Maybe I will do this next year with 31 more horror first time watches. You know, that's not totally out of the realm. Um, but October isn't the only month with a 31st. If you guys want to see more 31 on 31s, let me know down below what topics you guys want to see. I'm totally open to doing them. I like this was kind of a spur of the moment, but depending on the topic, I'll definitely sit there and do it. And it also has to add up too. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Turn on the bell for all notifications for future Nerd Talk live stream. Jesus Christ. Mind of a Nerd live streams. And also follow my Instagram, Mind of a Nerd Reviews. I just posted my review today for Halloween 5 to celebrate Halloween. So check that out if you guys have not. And also follow Nerd Talk, nerdtalk.official on Instagram and YouTube. We just posted our Halloween OVR, so go check that out if you have not already. And I will see you guys on the next one, baby. Peace.